Hello. Over the last few videos, I've spoken about a number of concepts. I've talked about the idea of inputs versus outputs, that we don't control our outputs, the results, we control the inputs, the things that we do. I also spoke about the idea of personal accountability, responsibility, and taking ownership of what's happening. I talked about the see, do, get model. And I moved on to talk about leadership and character and the elements that make up a superior leader, what these are: goal, achievement, personal accountability, interpersonal skills, persuasion, and so on, self-management. And interesting, I want to sort of take all this to a point. Yesterday I spoke briefly about the idea of strengths and building on strengths. I want to try and pull all this together for a moment. There's a story told, written by Isaiah Berlin. He talked about the fox and the hedgehog. And the story goes something like this. The fox, we know, is cunning and fast and strategic and tactical and so on. And the hedgehog, we tend to think of sort of a dowdy creature that potters around. So the story goes that the fox is in his den scheming and planning how he's going to catch the hedgehog. And the hedgehog comes out in the morning wandering down the forest path looking for his breakfast. And the fox attacks him with his new cunning plan. And the hedgehog grows up into a ball and he sticks out his spikes. And the fox, defeated, goes back to his den and starts scheming and planning yet again his latest strategy. And the question that you're asked is, which would you rather be, a fox or a hedgehog? The fox knows many, many things, but the hedgehog knows one thing supremely well. And this story focuses on the idea of identifying what it is that you are really, really good at as an individual or as an organisation, and then focusing on that and building on that. I'm sure you've often heard that one should diversify, one should have many streams of income, one should have many this, that and the other. Well, there's another school of thought that you put all your eggs in one basket and watch the basket like a hawk. And I sort of like that concept. I like the concept of finding a horse to ride, finding something where there's real potential in the marketplace, something that you can do where you actually say, this is a horse to ride, it's not an old nag, it's a racehorse. And in parallel with that, you say, what am I really, really good at? What's my talent? I spoke about this strengths yesterday. What's my talent? What am I really, really good at? And how can I apply that in an area of passion that works with this horse to ride? So how can I find this point of intersection between something I'm really, really good at and something I really, really like, and a horse to ride, an opportunity in the marketplace? And I like this idea, I like this concept. See, the Japanese talk about the ikigai, this idea of finding your purpose. And there's a lot of philosophers will tell you that the whole purpose is actually strive. The idea is to strive through difficulties, to strive and to keep striving. I think Buddha's last words were strive unremittingly. And this notion of work, constantly working, we're all going to work, we're all going to be striving, I think, all our lives. That's why we give our lives meaning. But you want to strive at something where you've got potential to be successful, or where you give yourself the best chance of being successful. The philosophers also tell you that there's three mistakes we all make. We think that number one, life is supposed to be easy. We think that number two, people are supposed to be nice to us. And we think that number three, we're supposed to be successful. And of course, anybody who's been around the block a few times will know that this is not the way the world works. Life is not easy. People will not like you, a lot of them, and you will not necessarily be a success at things that you strive at. But the idea is to strive. That's where the meaning comes from. And to strive is something that ideally comes naturally to you, comes easily to you, and where there's a good opportunity for success, where there's a horse to ride. So I wanted to think about this concept and how you do it. And I want to put them all together and talk about data points. How do you do this? So how, for example, do you find your strengths? How do you find a horse to ride? How do you become a successful leader? All these things I've talked about the last few videos, how do you do them? And I'm going to argue to you that the area that I work in, the area of psychometric assessments, is an area that can be really, really helpful in this regard. What it does, it gives you a benchmark. It gives you information that allows you to move forward. Remember the inputs. We can't control the outputs, just the inputs. It gives you information, it gives you tools to say, this is how I behave, this is what my competence or skills are, these are my motivator driving forces, here's my EQ, here's my acumen capacity, and so on and so forth. And with that information, you can then build a development plan. You can say, now I'm going to focus on the inputs. And the inputs can be around leadership, around your strengths, around finding the horse to ride, a whole range of things. But at least now you've got a plan and you're moving forward and you have inputs. So think about this concept. I'm going to talk about it a bit further in future videos. But think about the concept of how can you do these things, how can you pull this together, how you can control these inputs for success. So reflect on this, and I look forward to talking to you again shortly.